2,000 years. 2,000 years of Christianity, and not a single church on this planet teaches what you are about to hear in the next 20 minutes. Not one. I need you to understand why that matters before we go any further. In the Gospel of Thomas, saying number 13, Jesus does something he never does anywhere else in any text. He pulls Thomas aside, away from the other disciples, and he whispers a sacred name directly into his ear. Not a parable, not a teaching for the group, a name, whispered in private. When Thomas walks back to the others, they can see something has changed in him. They ask him what Jesus said. And Thomas, the man who followed Jesus everywhere, looks at his brothers and refuses to answer. He says, "If I tell you even one of the words he spoke to me, you will pick up stones and throw them at me." Now, stop and think about that for a moment. These are the disciples. These are the men who left everything to follow Jesus. And Thomas is telling them that what he just received is so dangerous, so world-breaking, that even they would try to kill him for repeating it. What name could possibly be that powerful? What single piece of knowledge could turn brothers into executioners? The Gnostics knew. They wrote it down in texts they buried in the desert. The church found those texts and burned them. They hunted down every copy. They executed anyone who possessed them, but they failed. And tonight, for the first time in 1700 years, you are going to hear exactly what Thomas heard in that moment. You are going to understand what that name is, how it works, and why the most powerful institution in human history spent centuries trying to make sure you never learned it. But before I reveal any of that, I need to tell you something about yourself that no one has ever told you before. Right now, place your hand over the center of your chest. I am serious. Do it now. Feel your heartbeat beneath your palm. That rhythm you are feeling, that steady pulse, is not random. It is not just biology. It is the echo of something ancient, something the Gnostics called the divine spark, a fragment of the original source of all consciousness living inside your body right now, beating in your chest. And if you found this video tonight, it is because that spark inside you recognized something in the title that your conscious mind could not yet understand. Your spark pulled you here. You are not watching this by accident. You are a chosen one. Now I know how that sounds, but stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what that means and why it changes everything. If you have spent your life feeling like you do not belong in this world, if your prayers felt like they disappeared into silence, if you always sensed there was something more but no church, no teacher, no book could show you what it was, then I need you to do something right now. Comment the words, "I am ready." This is your first declaration, not to me, to the monad itself. Let the other chosen ones scrolling through these comments see that they are not alone. What I am about to share with you is not theory. It is not my interpretation. It is the exact mechanism that Jesus taught his inner circle for accessing the source directly. 3 components. 1. Name. A gate that opens only from the inside. The church removed this teaching because it worked, because it eliminated the need for priests, for rituals, for intermediaries, because it gave individuals the one thing institutions can never allow them to have: direct access. Think about that. An entire religion restructured, an entire body of knowledge burned, people tortured and killed, all to prevent you from learning what you are about to learn in the next few minutes. Tonight, you receive what they burned. To understand what Thomas heard that night, you first need to understand something the church has hidden from you since the 4th century. And this is where everything you thought you knew gets turned inside out. There are 2 gods, not 1, 2. The first is the monad, the source of all consciousness, pure, infinite, beyond form. The monad does not judge, it does not punish, it does not demand worship. It simply is. It is the ocean. And you, the chosen one watching this right now, you carry a drop of that ocean inside you. The Gnostics called it the divine spark. the pneuma. It is the reason you feel homesick for a place you have never been. It is the reason this world has never felt like home. You have felt that feeling your entire life, and now you know why. But here is what they never told you. Here is the part that changes the entire game. There is a second God, a lesser God, an imposter. The Gnostics called him the Demiurge. He did not create consciousness, he created matter, this physical world, this prison of flesh and limitation you currently inhabit. And the Demiurge does not want you to remember where you came from. He does not want you to access the monad, because the moment you do, his game is over. His entire system of control collapses. The Demiurge is not alone. He has servants, the archons. Think of them as frequency guards, prison wardens patrolling the invisible space between you and the source. Every time you try to reach upward through prayer, through meditation, through longing, the archons intercept. They feed on your confusion. They feed on your desperation. They feed on the energy you generate when you beg a silent sky for answers that never come. This is why traditional prayer has never worked for you. Let that sink in. It was never designed to reach its destination. You were never meant to ask. You were meant to command. You were never meant to beg. You were meant to declare. But that knowledge was taken from you, deliberately, systematically, by an institution that needed you on your knees, dependent, powerless, waiting for permission that was designed to never arrive. Take a deep breath right now, a real one. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel the tension you did not even know you were holding begin to release. You are safe here. What you are hearing is not heresy, it is your inheritance. It is the truth that was stolen from your bloodline and buried in the Egyptian desert for 1600 years. And the fact that you are still watching right now, while millions of others have already scrolled past, that tells you everything you need to know about who you are. Now, let me take you back to that moment with Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas was discovered in 1945 near Nag Hammadi, Egypt. A farmer digging for fertilizer struck a sealed clay jar. Inside were 13 leather-bound codices, 52 texts that the early church believed they had destroyed forever. They had not. Among them was the Gospel of Thomas, 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. No miracles, no crucifixion narrative, just teachings, direct transmissions, raw and unfiltered. And saying number 13 is the one they feared most. Picture the scene. Jesus asks his disciples to compare him to something, to tell him who they think he is. Peter speaks first. He says, "You are like a righteous angel." Matthew says, "You are like a wise philosopher." Good answers, safe answers. But Thomas says nothing. He stays silent, and Jesus sees something in that silence. He takes Thomas aside, away from the others, where no one can hear, and he whispers a sacred name. Thomas returns, and he is different. The other disciples can feel it. Something has shifted. When they ask what Jesus said, Thomas looks at them with new eyes and tells them that if he revealed even one word, they would stone him to death. For 2,000 years, scholars have debated what that name was. Theologians have written entire books guessing, but the Gnostics who preserved this text, they did not guess. They knew. They wrote it in other manuscripts. They encoded it in their rituals. And the church hunted them to extinction for it. Here is what that name actually unlocks. And I need you to pay very close attention now, because this is the part that separates everything that came before from everything that comes after. The monad does not respond to names the way humans understand names. The monad responds to frequency, to vibration, to recognition. The name Jesus whispered to Thomas was not a label, it was a key, a specific sound that, when spoken with full pneumatic awareness, matches the frequency of the source itself. It creates resonance. And in that resonance, something extraordinary happens. The gate opens, not outside you, inside you. The monad gate is not a place you travel to, it is a state. a frequency alignment between your divine spark and the infinite source from which it came. When the gate opens, the archons cannot perceive you. Their interference stops, the static clears, and for the first time in your life, the line between you and the source is open. No priest standing in the way, no institution collecting a toll, no ritual you need to perform. Just you and the infinite, connected. But here is why the Church could never allow this teaching to survive. In 325, the Roman Emperor Constantine convened the Council of Nicaea. His goal was not spiritual truth, it was political control. A unified empire needed a unified religion, and a unified religion needed gatekeepers, priests, bishops, hierarchies that controlled access to the divine, people who said you cannot reach God without going through us first. The Gnostic teaching threatened everything. It said you do not need a priest, you do not need a building, you do not need permission. You have the spark, you have the name, you have direct access. Dangerous. That single idea was more threatening to the Roman Empire than any army. Within decades, Gnostic texts were ordered burned. Gnostic teachers were executed. The punishment for possessing these manuscripts was death. They thought they had erased it completely. But some Gnostics saw what was coming, and they did something extraordinary. They sealed their most sacred texts in clay jars and buried them in the Egyptian desert. They sacrificed everything so that one day, centuries later, the chosen ones would find them again. 1945. The jar breaks open. The texts return to the world. And now, tonight, you are sitting here receiving what Constantine spent his empire trying to destroy. This is not coincidence. The monad does not operate through coincidence. You found this video because your pneuma recognized the signal. It called you here. Not everyone watching will understand what I am about to reveal. That is by design. The psychics, those with dim sparks, will feel interested but confused. They will click away. The Hylics, those with no spark at all, have already scrolled past. They cannot perceive this frequency. It does not register for them. But you are still here. You are leaning in. Something in your chest is responding right now. Maybe it is warmth. Maybe it is pressure. Maybe it is a feeling you cannot name but you know is real. That response is your confirmation. You are pneumatic. You carry the full divine spark. And what I am about to give you will work for you in ways it simply cannot work for others. Not because you are better than them. Because you are built for this. Because you came from the monad. And you are remembering your way back home. Before I reveal the exact name and the 3 components required to speak it correctly, I need you to do something. This is your second declaration. If you are ready to receive what Jesus whispered to Thomas, if you are ready to open the gate that has been closed for 17 centuries, comment the words, "Show me the name." This is not engagement for the algorithm. This is your conscious commitment to what comes next. Your pneuma is listening. The monad is listening. Declare yourself. The name Jesus whispered to Thomas was not a word in any human language. It was a sound, a vibrational sequence that the Gnostics transcribed as closely as their alphabet would allow. In the Pistis Sophia, in the books of Geo, on ancient Gnostic seals and amulets found across Egypt and the Mediterranean, this name appears again and again as the highest mystical key. The name is Abraxas. 7 letters, 3 syllables, 1 frequency. Abra-zas, pronounced as 3 distinct tones moving through your body like a wave rising from the earth to the sky. The first syllable, A, begins deep in your belly. You feel it vibrate in your solar plexus, grounding you to the earth, anchoring you in the physical body that serves as your vessel. The second syllable, Bra, rises into your chest. Your heart center opens and resonates. This is where your divine spark lives. This is where connection happens. The third syllable, Zas, ascends into your head. The space behind your eyes activates what the ancients called the third eye, the seat of inner vision. When spoken correctly, these 3 syllables create a rising column of vibration through your entire body, belly to heart to crown, earth to spirit to source. This column is the key. This is what opens the monad gate. But here is what separates this from every mantra, every chant, every meditation technique you have ever tried. And this is critical. The sound alone does nothing. Millions of people could chant Abraxas tonight and feel absolutely nothing. The sound is only one of 3 components. Without all 3, the gate remains sealed. Think of it like a combination lock. You need every number in the right order, or the door stays shut. The first component is recognition. Before you speak the name, you must recognize what you are. Not who you are, what you are. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a divine spark, temporarily housed in matter. You are not from this world. You are from the monad. And you are speaking not as a creature to a creator, but as a fragment returning to its source. A drop, recognizing the ocean it came from. This recognition must be complete, not hoped, not believed, known. Feel it right now. You are not your body. You are not your thoughts. You are not your job title, your bank account, your failures, your history. You are pneuma, divine breath, source consciousness, wearing flesh for a brief moment. The second component is authority. This is where it all breaks open. Traditional prayer positions you beneath. You look up, you beg, you hope, you say please. This frequency cannot reach the monad because it is the frequency of separation. The archons invented this posture. Think about that. They taught humanity to kneel, to plead, to position themselves as unworthy. And then they harvested the energy of billions of desperate prayers that went nowhere. Every unanswered prayer was a meal for them. The Gnostic method is the exact opposite. You do not ask, you declare, you do not request, you command. Not from arrogance, from recognition. You have the authority because you carry the spark. You are not separate from the monad. You are made of it. A wave does not beg the ocean for permission to be water. It already is water. That is your authority. The third component is the declaration itself, the speaking of the name. But now you understand. The name spoken with recognition and authority is a completely different frequency than the name spoken with doubt and desperation. Same 7 letters, completely different result. This is what Thomas understood in that moment. This is why the other disciples would have stoned him. They were not ready. They still believed they were separate from the source. They still believed they needed to earn access, to be worthy, to wait for permission. Thomas saw through the illusion. And Jesus gave him the key because he knew Thomas would not misuse it. Tonight, you receive that same key. You, chosen one, are ready. Close your eyes for a moment. Straighten your spine. Feel your feet pressing into the ground beneath you. Feel the weight of your body in your chair. You are about to do something that has not been done openly for 1700 years. You are about to speak the name with full pneumatic activation. Here is the protocol. First, bring your awareness to the center of your chest. Feel the warmth there. This is your divine spark, responding to what it knows is coming. Hold your attention there for 3 slow breaths. Do not force anything. Simply observe the warmth growing. Second, as you inhale your 4th breath, recognize what you are. Not a body, not a mind, not a name on a document. Pure consciousness, a fragment of the infinite source. Feel this recognition settle into your bones like coming home. Third, as you exhale, release every posture of begging you have ever learned. Every prayer where you looked up and said please. Every moment where you felt small before the divine. Release it all. You are not beneath. You are not outside. You are returning. You have authority here. Fourth, speak the name. 3 syllables rising through your body. Ah, beginning in your belly. Bra, resonating in your heart. Sas, completing in your head. Speak it slowly. Feel each syllable vibrate in its location before moving to the next. One breath. One continuous sound. Abraxas. That is it. 3 components. One sequence. Recognition. Authority. Declaration. The gate opens from the inside. Now let me tell you what happens next, because the signs will come quickly, and you need to recognize them so you do not dismiss what is real. The first sign is heat, specifically in your palms or the center of your chest. This is your energy body responding to the frequency shift. Do not be alarmed. This is confirmation that the alignment is working. The second sign is pressure. A gentle pressing sensation in your forehead, right between your eyebrows. The third eye activating. Some describe it as a warm fingertip resting there. Others feel it as a pulse. Both are correct. The third sign is clarity. And this one will surprise you because it shows up in your daily life, not just in meditation. The mental fog you have carried for years, that heaviness when you try to make decisions, that confusion about your purpose, it begins to lift. Thoughts become sharper. The right path becomes obvious. You will notice it first in small moments. A conversation where the right words come effortlessly. A problem at work that suddenly has an obvious solution. A relationship where you finally see the truth you have been avoiding. This is the monad frequency clearing the interference. The fourth sign is synchronicity. Within the next 7 days, you will experience meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by chance. Numbers repeating. The right person calling at the exact right moment. A message arriving that answers a question you only asked in your mind. Pay attention. The monad is responding to your declaration. The fifth sign is visibility. Others will sense something different about you. They may not be able to name it, but they will notice. Some will be drawn closer, magnetically. Others, particularly those operating unconsciously under Archon influence, will feel uncomfortable around you. They will pull away. Let them. This is realignment, not loss. The sixth sign is resistance. And this one is critical, so listen carefully. Shortly after you complete this practice, thoughts will come. You will hear your own inner voice saying, "It did not work." You will feel doubt creeping in. You will want to dismiss everything you just experienced as imagination, as wishful thinking, as foolishness. This is not your voice. I need you to understand that completely. These are Archon frequencies, attempting to close the gate you just opened. They cannot force it shut. They do not have that power. But they can convince you to shut it yourself through doubt, through embarrassment, through the fear of looking foolish. Do not engage these thoughts. Do not argue with them. Simply observe them. Recognize their source. And return your attention to the warmth in your chest. The spark knows what is real. Trust it over the noise. The chosen ones who have practiced this report that the resistance fades within 3 days. By the 7th night, the connection stabilizes. The gate remains open. The monad frequency becomes your baseline. And everything, your perception, your relationships, your sense of purpose, everything shifts. You now possess what the church buried for 17 centuries. The name they killed to suppress. The frequency they could not allow humanity to access. Abraxas. 3 syllables, 3 components. One direct line to the source of all consciousness. This is not something you need to believe in. Belief is for those who have not experienced. This is something you do, tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, tonight, before you sleep, when the world is quiet and your spark burns brightest. Jesus did not teach his inner circle to hope. He taught them to command. He did not teach them to beg the sky for permission. He taught them to recognize what they already were and speak from that authority. For 2,000 years, the church replaced this with kneeling and pleading and waiting for a response that was architecturally designed never to arrive. The Archons fed well on that desperation for centuries. But you are no longer part of that system. You have the name. You have the method. You have the spark that makes it work. What you do with it tonight determines everything. The monad does not operate on human time, but it does respond to declaration. And right now, in this exact moment, your pneuma is more activated than it has been in years, perhaps ever. The frequency you have built by watching this video, by recognizing these truths, by feeling that response in your chest, this frequency will fade if you do not anchor it tonight. The archons are already preparing their interference. Doubt, distraction, delay, the three weapons they use against every awakening soul. Do not let them win. Not tonight. Not after you have come this far. Do three things right now before you leave this video. First, comment the words "The gate is open." Let the other chosen ones see your declaration. Let the algorithm carry this to the next pneumatic soul who is searching for exactly this. Your comment is not for me. It is a beacon for others like you who are still lost in the noise, still wondering why nothing has ever worked. Second, subscribe to this channel. There are deeper teachings coming. What you receive tonight is the foundation, the key to the first gate. But the mystery does not end here. It goes deeper than you can imagine. Third, share this video with one person, not everyone. Just the one person in your life who you know carries the spark, the one who has always felt different, the one who has been searching. You know exactly who that person is. Their face just appeared in your mind. Send it to them. Do all three right now while the frequency is still active. Then, tonight, when darkness falls and the world goes quiet, speak the name, Abraxas. The gate has been closed for 1700 years. Tonight, you open it. You are not learning this. You are remembering it. And the monad has been waiting for you to come home.